Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is the Steven Hour, and we are here with the top 10 animated couples in TV. I've always liked, in cartoon shows, there are always where we are rooting for either characters to get together. So I decided to do a list based on that. Now, these are top 10 characters from TV. They have to be animated, they have to be from TV, and this is purely subjective, my personal opinion. And I'll only be including one couple from each show, so there'll be like no two couples from the same show on different spots on the list. Now, before we get into it, I want to start off with an honorable mention. This honorable mention, of course, goes to the always Batman and Catwoman from Batman the Animated Series. Okay, I'm gonna be straight up. On this list, do not expect to see a Harley Quinn and Joker pairing. First off, I don't think that is a good relationship, because A, Joker is clearly abusive and abusing Harley Quinn. I understand it's a good for stories, but it's not a good relationship people should be involved in. I decided, well, instead of that, what other good relationships come from the Batman Rogues Gallery? One is always up there. Batman and Catwoman. These two are clearly on again, off again, always attracted to each other, always attracted to each other, but never admitting it. And I gotta admit, the design of the character and the voice actors from the animated series versions are for me my favorite interpretations. And it's easy to see why in so many mediums, it's all writers and filmmakers and comic artists always, without a doubt, always have Batman pair up with Catwoman. The two work off so well off each other, and there's always so much sexual tension always in the air every time they're around. So as a result, I'm giving them an honorable mention. Now, with that out of the way, let's get on with the list. At number 10 is Wanda and Cosmos from the Very Odd Parrots. I will be straight up honest. This is probably going to be... These two will be the only Nickelodeon cartoon couple on this show. So no one from the Avatar series and no one from the Danny Phantom series. These will be the only two. Mostly because this is really the only Nickelodeon cartoon I can actually say I at least watched growing up. These two characters are, well, very odd parents to Timmy Turner, a 10-year-old boy, and essentially they grant him wishes and go on these weird adventures throughout the whole series. I've always loved these two because, well, for me, I think out of all the couples on this list, these two really love each other. Cosmos is the dumb one of the group, and Wanda is clearly the smart one, but prone to stress. And what I like about it is, first off, it said that these two will be together, essentially have been together for, last time I checked, I think it was like, what, 10,000 years? Or at least a long time. And you have to be either crazy or madly in love to be with them for that long. And the two do love each other. And the voice cast are with Dan Norris and Suzanne Blakesley. Hopefully, though, I'm pronouncing those names right. Arguably, those two voices go so well together, and for me, they pull these characters really off really well. Number 9, Robin and Starfire from Teen Titans. Okay. I've always said, when I did the Batman 66, I always found that in nearly any form of media, Robin and Batgirl have far better chemistry than Batman and Robin. But with this show, Batgirl, if I recall very well correctly, doesn't appear. But Robin and Starfire in this show were done extraordinarily well. And to many mainstream, they prefer this couple, this pairing, over Robin and Batgirl. Now, to most, I would kind of have a disagreement with that. But with this show, I make an exception. Why? Because these two are so well together. Now, they technically don't really get together or become a couple until
the movie, until the TV movie, which essentially is the finale of the series. These two are so well together, with Robin voiced by Scott Menville, hopefully that is pronounced right, and Starfire voiced by Hayden Walsh. The two just have such a good chemistry together and voice really well. Now also, it's not explicit for which Robin version this is. Is this the Dick Grayson version, the Jason Todd, Tim Drake? And I kind of like it's vague for that reason. But looking at this, these two are just so good together. Robin is clearly the more prone leader of the team, takes charge, and Starfire is this lovely bubbly foreigner type thing, and you can clearly tell Robin has a thing for her. And I also like how moments when Starfire gets jealous when Robin's attention is taken away by other characters. The two just work so well with each other, and just like everyone, when they did the TV movie, when the two finally get together, it was worth it, just for that one scene. I would have liked we had a season with them as a couple, but was content with what we got. Now, I always will prefer Robin and Batgirl, but for this show, I see why many people want the Robin and Starfire relationship. Number 8, Fred and Daphne from Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. Arguably, maybe one of the most iconic characters in animation. Fred and Daphne are part of the infamous Scooby Gang, or Mystery Incorporated in some mediums, where they basically go around solving mysteries, where it turns out these villains are actually, people dressed up in monster costumes. For me, all other versions of the couple I felt were never done quite right. The live-action movies, for a while for me, but the first two anyway, I thought for a while were the closest to a good relationship with the two. But I think this one did it really, really, really well. First off, I liked how Daphne always had a thing for Fred. Fred was always clueless, and that was good for comedy. But then he realized he had feelings for her too, and eventually the two started dating. But then they would break up, come back together. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of that. But it works for this show because this ain't a traditional Scooby-Doo cartoon. Mystery Incorporated for me was always good because it wasn't a traditional Scooby-Doo show. Most was usually by one episode where they find the villain. Well, to be fair, they do stick to that. But the series had a long-running story that worked throughout the show's run. And for me, having arguably these two were always hinted at being, in loving each other, clearly in so many forms of medium, and clearly the creators by this show were huge, I could tell, was huge Scooby-Doo fans. And it made more than enough sense to have that be focused as a side story, but not destroying it like the whole series as they go forward. Fred was voiced by Frank Welker, who also voiced, of course, Scooby-Doo, and Daphne Blake was voiced by Gray DeLisa. Now, I like how the two are given so much character to really be fleshed out and enjoyed. For me, I consider that all the classic pairings, when it came to the Fred and Daphne versions, these two are the best. And I believe that no matter what incarnation of Fred and Daphne, there's always going to be, every time, hinted that the two are in a relationship or boyfriend and girlfriend. It's just no way they're going to go down the road and not have that at one point. Number 7, Poison Ivy and Kite Man from the Harley Quinn TV show. Now, this show is still in play, and unlike most of the shows on this list have kind of ended their run. Kind of. I think there's one more that hasn't. Now, the pairing is something I would not have expected. Poison Ivy in this show is more portrayed as an outsider, not really good with contact, and Kite Man is portrayed like he's always viewed as a loser villain. But despite that, has a general upbeat attitude, and he's just so fun to be around, and in many ways brings out the Poison Ivy's other side. The two have so much great chemistry together, and I prefer this pairing over what the series later did, the Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Nothing against that pairing, but for this incarnation, this version of the show, I just prefer this pairing so much more. And also, it made Kite Man still be the joke, but also cool. He was a cool joke. And it's really sad how they broke up that relationship. But I can understand why it was bound to happen, but I also felt like it just ruined a really good relationship, though it could possibly start an even better one. I'm interested to where these characters are going to continue still with what has happened and what more we're going to see. This show for me, has really good writing with comedy and basically spoofing itself, and these two are such a really great couple. Poison Ivy and Kite Man. I hope maybe by the series end the two will get back together, though I don't see how that is going to work. Coming in at number 6 is Daisy and Donald Duck from the DuckTales reboot. Now, this is the rebooted version of DuckTales, not the classic 90s one. We're looking at the reboot. Now, even on this list, I knew I had to include Disney couple from the Mickey Mouse Club. That kind of house thing, with Mickey, Goofy. I had to include a couple from that group. Now, I will admit, throughout most of the incarnations with this couple, I've always viewed it as a very toxic relationship. This, I feel, does it with more modern interpretation, but still staying true to the core to why I can see now many people love this pairing. In the show, Donald is, well, now a reluctant adventurer now. He's sort of retired and sort of had to take up raising his 3 nephews before handing it over to his Uncle Scrooge. And he's essentially an all-round nice guy who is always unlucky and always gets the bad breaks. Then he meets Daisy. And what I like about this couple more than anyone else on the list, the two really get each other. And I mean get each other. They see both sides. Daisy can actually understand what Donald says, but also just loves him for who he is. And in many ways, Donald, is the same. And I like how the two always stick up for one another. And that's one of the most unique relationships on this list. The two generally will stick up for one another. And I like how it hinted at the end that the two are going for an adventurous boat ride together. But also Donald is taking 2 little girls along with him, to give him a home, and possibly hinting of starting a family with her that she may be on board with. Well, she is on board with. This couple for me will be the definitive version of Daisy and Donald Duck couple. I was never a fan of the original because I viewed it was too toxic. But this, for me, will be the definitive version. And I hope other writers will look at this pairing of the couple and essentially take notes from it and maybe have this be the version of the couple that I would like. Not that I wouldn't mind having a toxic version and now a toxic version come back for like little cameos or references to what the relationship used to be, but I really wish that this could be the more definitive version. Anyway, coming in at number 5, Phineas and Isabella from Phineas and Ferb. Now, I will be straight up. Technically, they are not a couple until this very special episode where they're in the future, 10 years. In the show Phineas and Ferb, Phineas and his brother Ferb basically spend their whole summer coming up with crazy inventions, saying, I know what we're going to do today, and invites their friends to join. Isabella is one of these many friends, and it's clear to everyone but Phineas that she has a huge crush on him. And it's clear that Phineas does view the friendship very well, even though he's clearly oblivious that she's is really crushing on him. Now, and I guess that's what I like about this relationship, because it's a cute one. To be fair, Isabella finally, at least in the future episode, finally realizes that, you know, she's waited too long, he's not interested and gives up. Just around this time, he finally notices and realizes that he could have seen the signs in this good song, What Might Have Been. It really pulls on your heartstrings. Now, to be fair, we do get a few kisses from her. Technically, with this version, yeah, once in the series, I think in a movie, and of course, the infamous where they finally get together, and she says it was worth the wait. What I like about it, because it's a cute relationship, and I really like how, and of course, finally, they finally get together after waiting for so long. I always viewed that this is just a cute couple. And honestly, that is the word to describe this relationship, as cute. Maybe a little bit sympathetic towards Isabella's side, because she's clearly waiting for him to reciprocate, and it takes a very long time, but for her, it was worth the wait. And I believe Phineas, without a doubt, really loves her. Now, Phineas and Isabella are number 5. Coming in at number 4, Spider-Man / Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy from Spectacular Spider-Man. This is a cartoon show I'll be reviewing soon, so I'm trying not going to spend too much time on this couple. But I will say this. Gwen Stacy, up until maybe when she became Spider-Gwen, was at this point one of the most... Well, up until that point where the character became interesting, she was really not that really interesting in the comics. To be fair, before that, her only claim to fame was her famous death that arguably kicked off the comics era known as the Bronze Age. That's where many people say the Bronze Age started. In the show, they made her different. A nerd, best friend, and a really likable character, but you know she has a crush on Peter. And Peter kind of doesn't notice until finally she kisses him, and he realizes he starts to feel the same way. Now, technically the show... Now, they don't really become a couple, but there are moments where we wish they were in a relationship. And Peter does end up dating a few people on the show. Mostly Liz, and also the scene with MJ. Now, I will be honest, the classic version, as we all know, of Spider-Man always has Peter end up with MJ. And I think Gwen now ends up in a relationship with Miles, if my memory serves correctly. But this version of the pairing is remarkably well. I really wish we had a third season where they could have actually been in a relationship. And also like how they are, like, they're both struggling to, you know, come into a relationship, which is very interesting. Now, technically, they don't become an actual couple. But the pairing between these two are so great. They complement each other so well. And I feel that it's done remarkably well with this Spider-Man incarnation. If we had a season 3, imagine what more stories we could have got with this relationship. But sadly, we didn't. Coming in at number 3 is Gwen and Trent from the Total Drama series. For those of you who have never seen Total Drama is an animated cartoon that essentially is a sort of parody of those reality shows. The two first met on Total Drama Island. Gwen is a goth girl, Trent is this nice guy, and also had a love for music. The two had such a great chemistry from the get-go. We knew at first glance these two were going to be a couple, and they had some few challenges along the way, and eventually by the end of the first season they become a couple. But by season 2, sadly, the relationship ends because in the second season, in Total Drama Action, where they're on a movie set, craziness just goes... Well, Trent essentially blows their team's chances of winning to make sure Gwen wins, and this kind of... And as a result, the two decide to break up, essentially. Because it's just not working. This relationship ends badly. But, however, what I like about it is even after the relationship ends, the two stay on quite friendly terms, and even friends. And that is something interesting that most TV show couples kind of don't. This is one of the few exceptions where I have it. Now, this is arguably my favorite couple from Total Drama. It will always be arguably everyone's favorite. And I love this pairing so much. I really wished we could have had where they get back together, but I highly doubt that's ever going to happen. This is a very unique couple. because they're actually on a reality show. Well, technically a fake one, but you get the idea. Number 2, Kid Flash and Artemis from Young Justice. Oh my god, this relationship, how it started, is one of the most unique. Most relationships on this list were they were friends, but then became in a relationship. But this one's different. When the first two met, they couldn't stand each other and hated each other. The only reason they hung around because they were in the same superhero team. But the reason why they hated each other kind of made sense. Artemis viewed Kid Flash, Wally West, as essentially a just a person that was just all talk and just got on her nerves. Kid Flash had a more reason to hate Artemis, and that reason was he felt that she was taking the place of a member who should be on the team. But eventually the two grew to not hate each other, became co-workers, developed feelings for one another, then got into a relationship. It's a classic haters become lovers. And I love that. You see, Young Justice was a different show. It mostly was a superhero team for the younger kids. This gave them the spotlight, but also showed them in a more mature way, unlike the Teen Titans, though it was mature, had a little bit of kid-friendly moments. This showed them in a more mature light. And this pairing works immensely. But sadly, the relationship does end very badly, because in Season 2, they are a superhero team. And it kind of happens when Artemis is forced to fake her death to go undercover, leaving Kid Flash as, to be member part-time on, part-time off. And eventually, after revealing that she's not dead, she's actually alive, it ends with, sadly, Kid Flash's death. Now, the show is still going on. It hasn't finished its run. It originally got cancelled, then got rebooted for Season 3, and is given a Season 4. And it's heartbreaking how the relationship ended. I felt for Artemis in that scene. These two are just so great. I consider this is the best pairing or couple on the show. It is perfect. It is a unique relationship because it ends with tragedy. But the two work so well, and this was a good pairing. But of course, there has to be a number one. So at number 1,
Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable from Kim Possible. For me, no other cartoon couple on TV you can't do that without at least acknowledging this, especially with Disney. For me, this was the first couple I shipped. I knew by the end of Season 2 that these two were to become a thing. The two complement each other so much, and honestly, that's what couples are. They complement each other. They not just have your back, they also provide you with support when you need it. And I think this couple exempts that. Also, what I like about when they actually become a couple, the dynamic doesn't change at all. It stays almost the same as when they were friends. And that kiss at the end of Season 3 was technically the movie and so the drama, we were worth waiting for. But then we got Season 4, and they still remained as a couple. There was no split up and come back. They stayed that way. And they will always be my number 1 favorite cartoon couple in TV of all time. There we have it. That was my top 10 animated couples in TV. Do you agree? Do you think another couple should be on the list? Who was your favorite TV couple? I'm sure I left out quite a lot of other noteworthy TV couples, but I wanted to have ones that I personally liked. I liked how the chemistry was and the story of them building up to being in a relationship. So, if you watched this video, if you made it to the end, please put down your favorite cartoon couple from TV in the comments. Who would you have included on the list? Would you have changed it any other way? Anyway, that's the end of this video. Tune in next time to another Stephen Hour video. So until then, so long for now.